Yo, what up? It's Ktriggs. I'm out of Hamilton, Ontario. Shout out Gunner for bringing me on. I'm very excited and I can't wait to get started.
Hey man, it's good to be talking to you again. So what have you been up to?
I've been honestly really busy lately. Obviously I'm looking after my new puppy, but for the last year, I've been working on the new album Mistakes, which is, my brand new project that is coming out on May 20th. So that'll be out on all streaming platforms.
Oh,
You can pre-order it now actually on Instagram at Ktriggs905 or at ktriggs.ca. You can go anywhere, Ktriggs905, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, doesn't matter. I'm there. You can get the pre-order
awesome.
link for yourself. It's a 8-song album. So it's like more of an LP, I guess,
Yeah.
than a full like studio project, but it definitely contains a very cohesive sound that I think is my best work so far.
Okay, I'm looking forward to it. I seen the album art on your Insta. It looks hella professional. I'm excited to see what it sounds like. I've always fucked with your music. I've been following you for like 2 years now. So, or actually probably longer, maybe three. Uh,
Yeah, it has been a while. I appreciate all your support, man. And like that's I just started doing this in 2018. So that's why like people like you, the real ones, I gotta shout you guys out. And like, Brody at Because Design Matters did the cover art and all the
yeah,
art
super sick.
direction for the album. So anything you'll see, videos, graphic art, content that's promoting the album. We have a short film that's coming as well.
Like some behind the scenes stuff like you did with the Cypher.
Exactly. But this is more like
Okay.
an actual short film that kind of explains the album. So like when the album comes out on the 20th, we will also be releasing a short film, which will be kind of a recap and kind of like the explanation of mistakes and the concepts behind the album and how I came to that point.
Yeah, that'll be
Because I
sick.
think I think people want to be part of it. It'll be a little longer than like a usual video, be like 5 to 8 minutes, but I think people would like it because then they can be part of the story, right? The mistakes story, because that's what it is. It's a self growth, personal battle with myself, and that is like the hardest thing to do is admit when you're not ready or you made those mistakes and bring yourself to a point where you can be more than what you were. And that's what this album I think is. It represents me as an artist, my identity, my brand, and my sound very well.
No, that's good. And I think that's really important because like fans really connect with that stuff. It really shows them like who you are and like, that you're a person just like them. You're not like.
Literally, like look at this. My dog is like attacking me right now because she sees I'm on the phone and I'm not giving her attention. I was just outside with her, so she's all psyched up. So I'm gonna just hold her here. Back off for a minute.
Yeah, no
But
worries.
yeah, she's only 5 months. She'll be 5 months tomorrow. Actually, she's
Damn,
born on
that's
December
crazy.
6th. She's
What
nuts.
what breed is she?
She is a like she got some pit bull in her for sure. This is her right here. She got some pit bull
Wow.
in her for sure. But she's also an American bulldog and she's got cane corso. She's a mutt, but
Okay,
she's very
okay.
cute. And I really don't care. Like, this dog is a dog. Some people are super specific. Like my mom's, her dog had 8 female puppies. So
Holy.
we took care of them and I helped her sell them, because she's not super like technologically inclined on how to
Yeah.
like make like Kijiji ads and shit. Hey, relax. So you know what I mean? I did that, and as a thank you, she was just like, "Oh, well, take this dog." And I was like, "Well, you know what? I appreciate that because it's a companion, especially during COVID. You know what I mean? Like, it's good
Yeah,
to
for
have
sure.
something like that because, like, obviously, in these COVID times, we're kind of like restricted from hanging out with our friends and having relationships or starting new relationships. So having a companion like my dog is a good, like therapy animal kind of degree.
No, for sure, for sure. I could see that. So let's get to the questions, I guess.
Ooh, okay, I'm very excited.
So what initially drew you to music?
Yeah, man. Honestly, initially, like it was the fact that like I used to do a lot of creative writing and like write poetry and write like stories. And then like, I had a lot of trouble expressing myself as a kid. I dealt with bullies in elementary school
Yeah.
before that, you know what I mean? And so I had a hard time expressing myself. So music was a good way for me to get that outlet. But also my mother, she loves old school hip hop. Like, she used to listen to like Tribe Called Quest and like
Okay,
NWA and
okay.
like old school R&B, like, Lauren Hill, that kind of shit. And
Yeah, yeah.
so I really gravitated. She showed me Tupac, who's my favorite rapper of all time. You know what I mean? Like Nas, Cameron, all those old school guys, Big Pun. I could
Yeah.
go on. My point is she was the big fan of old school hip hop and R&B, which is kind of what drew me to it. But then at school, in like high school and like elementary school, I started like rapping and being like an MC at like talent shows and stuff. So that kind of got me into entertaining. But
Okay.
then because I kind of had a hard time expressing myself, when I got into freestyles at like freestyle battles and stuff, I would do well because I was catching flows and like I have good
Yeah.
wordplay. So I was like, you know what? Fuck, this is awesome. I enjoy it. You know what I mean? Why am I going to spend all my time working like at a job, at a factory or whatever, when I can pursue music and make a career out of this and it's doing something I love?
Right?
You know what I
Like,
mean?
I mean, the standard 9 to 5 today just doesn't cut it. And I mean, if you know you're good at something and like that's what you really want to do, then you should do it. Like, you
Well,
know?
and that's kind of my point, right? Is like when I was working at 14 years. I had my first job at 12, but at 14, I
Damn.
was working on my own. I paying for rent, had my own place, going to high school when I could. You know, that's great. I appreciate the work. Like I appreciate that of myself, and I look at that as a work ethic thing, and I'm proud of that. But now all that work that I put into my music, and I'm 10 times happier. Maybe I don't make as much money because like I worked a bunch of overtime and I had a better job before where I
Yeah.
made good money. But like it's not about the money. At the end of the day, like money isn't the end all be all. That shit will come and go. I
No,
think
for sure.
personal happiness and being in like doing something you enjoy is way more satisfying at the end of the day. When I already wrote 2 songs today.
Damn. That's productive. That's good. That's what I like to hear, yo. Any musical background in your family? Like, does anyone play instruments or sing, or are you kind of the
Um,
first one to get into that?
well, actually, no. My sister Jade, my older sister, she actually in elementary school she sung the national anthem.
Oh,
And they
that's
put it
cool.
like they put it on the announcements and stuff. Like her voice was the national anthem for our school for years. My sister's actually a very talented singer. She doesn't like actually do anything with it, but she is very talented. She just enjoys it. And like I play a couple instruments myself. Like I play saxophone, I play trumpet. I
Okay,
played them in elementary school, and moving forward, I can play a few more.
that's sick.
I like a lot of the brass instruments, so I can play like a trombone. I can play a French horn. Just a lot. I like a lot of the brass kind of instruments and whatnot. Big fan.
Yeah,
But I don't play too many instruments anymore because I don't own one. But like
yeah,
one day
true.
in the future, I definitely want to be able to afford those things.
Yeah, same. Like I used to play trumpet in high school and a little in elementary, and like, that's the only reason I don't play now is because I just don't have one.
Well,
So I would love to
it's
get
same.
one.
It's expensive too. They're not cheap. Like you can probably get a used one
Yeah,
somewhere. But like if you want to get a nice one, what I mean, it's gonna last you. You can actually practice on. Like I want to learn piano. Like I do know some basic keys and whatnot, but like I'd love to learn how to play piano. That's something I'm gonna teach myself, or I'm gonna get some. That's a goal I have in the next 5 years to learn how to play the piano,
yeah. No, that's
just as like a
good.
personal thing.
Pianos, I feel like between piano and drums, like those are the best instruments to learn in terms of like just being like knowing how to structure like beats and stuff, like in terms of production and everything.
No, you're right. It's a very vital asset. And like I work with a lot of producers, like on this main album. The main producer Nomai, he's a Hamilton producer as well. So shout outs to Nomai. He uses a lot of guitar, and that's something
Yeah,
that I really like about what he does because he kind of does it in his own way and he adds his own flavor to it with his guitar riffs.
yeah. No, that's like my roommate, he plays guitar and stuff too. Like he's all about like he just composes all his own shit. Like he doesn't have like an actual piano, but he has like a pretty solid keyboard. And
Oh,
like
nice.
you'll just see him in there all day. His doors open, he'll just be jamming, making beats and shit. And it's like it
That
keeps me
organic,
motivated.
yeah, and that organic type of like inspiration is the best. I find that like inspiration, excuse me, does not have a schedule. Like I can't just sit down and be like, yo, I'm gonna write a song right now. Like if I have to,
Facts.
I can. But even if I feel like I have to, I won't. You know what I mean? It won't come to me the same way. So like I
Yeah.
wait till I just chill, I listen to some songs, I listen to some beats. Um and that's just how I get it. I'm like, all right, cool. And then if I catch a vibe, I catch a vibe. And if not, that's it. You know what I mean? And I let it come to me in the moment. And sometimes I'll literally just be sitting there and it's fucking like 2 in the morning and I've just gotten up to get a glass of water and I'll just start thinking of shit. And I'm like, what the hell? And I just have to write it down because like if I don't, I'll lose it.
Yeah, you'll forget it by the time you wake up. You'll be like, "Oh, what was that line?"
Yeah, and
Uh,
that's what I mean. Inspiration doesn't have a schedule. So like I literally keep a notepad right beside my bed. So like if I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm thinking of some shit, it's there.
right? Like I read an interview once with Eminem, and like, you know, he would like always just be thinking of so many rhymes. Like he had to keep like a Sharpie beside the bed because like he'd wake up and like, he'd be like, I need to get these rhymes out. And like if even if he didn't have paper, like he'd write on his arm. He just like, he had to get it out and like because he'd
Yeah,
forget it.
exactly.
So
And that's what I mean is like that type of inspiration, it doesn't have a schedule and you can't really like explain that to people like even I've done some songs with people where like they see me right in the studio and they're like why like how do you do that? And I'm like, well, it's just because in the moment that's what I felt inspired to do. Like
yeah,
if I heard the
facts.
beat beforehand and I was inspired, I would have wrote something right then and there. But I liked the beat. Maybe I couldn't think of something, so I walked in the studio, waited for him to do his verse, and then I went off that because that gave me an idea on how to work on my like to make him mine kind of suit the style of the song, but also be different and
No,
bring my
for
own
sure.
flavor to it.
Like yeah, any of my like best like written verses or collaborations, like it's always been like in the moment, if I try and just like force myself to write a song, I can't. I,
Yeah, and that's a good thing about it's a good thing, but it's also a hard thing about being an artist because there are times when you do get writer's block.
yeah, and you got to find a way to get around that.
Well, and that's what I do. I just take a break. Like I had writer's block before I wrote this album in like last year in like January, February, March, just
Yeah,
before COVID began. And I just started painting and like doing other creative shit
that's
to get
lit.
my mind off of rapping and rhyming and just get my mind onto thinking. Started reading a couple more books than I would like. I have a lot of books and I've read a lot of them, but there are some that I haven't read. So I just started reading a new book. I started painting some pictures. I started designing some clothes, things to like get me creatively, in my head moving in the brain,
Yeah,
but also not focused squarely on the rhyming aspect and the song making aspect of my craft.
no, and that's good. Like even like when I'm creating stuff, like they say, like how colors affect you. Like McDonald's uses red and yellow because it makes you hungry. They say orange makes you more creative. So I try to surround myself with orange shit when I'm making beats and stuff like that. Or
Mm,
like, you know?
that's really cool. No, I never like actually thought about it that way, but that's a really good idea. You know what I mean? Because like I noticed like I have an easier time thinking in my living room, which is a lot brighter and more colorful than I do in my bedroom. But
Yeah.
I honestly do my best writing in the shower. So
Yeah, true.
I write
Showers.
my and it's mad annoying because I literally have to get out of the shower and write shit down.
Yeah, it's like you gotta like play it back, keep adding a line, adding a line, adding a
Literally,
line.
literally, that's what I do in my head. I'm just like, oh, 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 and I'm like trying to shower. I'm like, dude, shower. I'll be sitting there for like 20 minutes and I'm rapping. I'm like, dude, shower. Like, what are you doing?
That's jokes. No, that's awesome though. So what's an average day like for you?
Oh man, honestly, like, well, because right now I'm in school. Actually, I just got into an entertainment management program at Trebas
That's
Institute in
sick.
Toronto.
That's
Thank you. Yeah,
dope.
I have class at 5 after this. That's why I had to move our appointment right to
Okay,
the
okay.
original date because I just started school like last week.
No, you're gonna love it, man. I did one at Harris, like over by George Brown, and it was
Yeah, yeah.
sick, super
Yeah,
sick.
one of our teachers was talking about how at his like he has his own A&R company, and he was talking about how he actually employs a couple students from Harris.
That's cool.
Yeah, so he was saying it's a rather notable school. Like, so I've heard that program be mentioned before. But
Yeah,
yeah, I'm really excited for everything that we're doing. It's kind of basically everything I'm already doing with freedom of speech and
yeah.
Ktriggs, trying to brand and create an identity and create something that's recognizable. And this will only help me improve my skills. And maybe it will even take me into a different direction and give me some more connections, which is
No,
my
for sure.
thing, the
Cause like
biggest
I
benefit.
mean, I did my program initially, like I went just to learn production and I ended up liking the business side a lot. And like, I mean, you're gonna make a lot of connections and you're gonna meet lots of new people that also do what you do. So I mean, it'll be good.
Exactly, which I think is the best thing about it. Like, the connections and like when I will be able to get to that point. Um, you know what I mean? It'll help me like when because the end of the program comes with an internship.
Oh yeah,
And
that's sick.
that is what I'm really working toward is that internship to get placed somewhere in the industry to see how professionals work and how the industry works and how you need to address those people so that when I go and use my connections and make my way and get my foot in the door, I know how to talk and speak the language.
Yeah. One of the biggest things I learned like with internships is like even if like you don't know how to do something, if you think you can figure it out, just tell them you can get it done. And even if you can't, if you were like, hey, I gave it my best try, but I didn't really know what I was doing, I can't figure it out, they'll be like, all right, respects. I mean, at least you took the initiative to try and get it done. And same with like if you screw up, like people really hate it like when you beat around the bush. So if you're just like, yeah, this happens, sorry, they'll be like, okay, cool.
Well,
Yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
And they'll just kind of like they'll brush it off. They'll be like, all right, you fucked up, but at least you took the responsibility for it, and they'll end up most likely giving you more shit to do.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing is like the reason why I was about to say something before I interrupt you. I didn't mean to, but that
No
really
worries.
ties into my album mistakes, and this is kind of my sins on on paper for people. Telling them the things that I've done and the mistakes that I've made because each song is a different mistake, and
Yeah.
it's relevant to the process that I've been in over the last couple of years, and what I've been doing, and I'm not one to shy away from taking responsibility from like actions that I've done that are wrong, and that's part of it, and that's part of growing and part of
No,
becoming the
exactly.
person you want to be, and that's what I'm doing. Like
Yeah.
I'm not there yet. I'm definitely not satisfied, but I'm very proud that I'm not where I used to be, which is a step forward in the right direction.
No, exactly. Like I always say to my buddies, like it's one of my favorite quotes is it's like don't be afraid of moving slowly, be afraid of standing still. Cause like even if you're still making progress, right? No, little progress is better than no progress.
Well, and that's the thing. You like I like there's this one like I think it's from a movie, and I want to say it's like Denzel Washington, and he's like, movement is progress. And he's like, my mother said, you can run in the same spot all you want and get nowhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you have to move forward in order to progress, even if you're moving forward from a fallback.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
that's a big thing is you have to be able, like, especially in this industry, setbacks and fallbacks and things happen. That's part of life too. And it's ups and downs that make it. When you're up, you never think you'll be higher. And when you're down, you never think you'll be up again. But that's life.
Yeah.
And that's how things go. And you just
No,
have to learn to
exactly.
roll with the punches and control the things you have the ability to control and let go of the things you don't. And that's my big problem. And that's what this album kind of helped me with that in my own personal life is letting go of the things that I cannot control.
No, for sure. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons I'm looking forward to this. I mean, because I struggled with that a lot too over the years. Just figuring out what to let go and what really to like, what matters. What do I need to be stressing over? And so
Exactly.
you just forgive and forget and move on. Do your thing.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, see, me, it's a little different for me because I forgive, but I don't forget because like
Well, yeah, yeah,
it's hard.
yeah.
Like you can forgive, but it's hard to forget about things like and let them go completely. Like I can forgive, which means I've let it go inside. Like I'm not angry about it anymore. But if you go and do it again, or I go and do that same mistake again, like that was something that I had a hard time with learning to forgive myself for things that I've done. And it's like you can forgive yourself as long as you know why you made that mistake. You're not going to make the same mistake twice. Because
No,
once
for
you make it
sure.
twice, like then you're basically beating a dead horse because you're not learning anything.
Yeah, because it's like fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. It's like
Exactly. I know it sounds cliche, but it applies to music too. You put on a song, maybe you didn't like the song in a certain way, certain aspects of it, and then next time you have something to improve upon. And that's for me. Every single time I put out a song, I think of a way I can improve it, even if it's just a simple thing, even if it's the smallest thing. I think of a way that I can improve next time,
yeah. No, and that's good. That shows
and I
growth
always try
and
to.
initiative.
Exactly. You don't have to be the most talented. You don't have to be the smartest, but if you want to work the hardest, you'll get where you want to go eventually.
Facts. Facts. That's what I always tell people, just everyone's timeline's different. Just put 100 into it and eventually you're gonna get where you want to go.
Exactly. No, that's a good point, man. And that's like, like on the seventh song, like the seventh song on my album is called Horizon. Sixth song. The sixth song on my album is called Horizon, sorry. And that song is all about like, I've been to the dark path, I've seen the things that I did wrong, and I see the horizon, breaking, I see the sun, I see the dawn, and I'm going towards that because there's no more time to look back on the past and dwell on the things that have happened.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's like you gotta move forward. You gotta think about now what's going on because you gotta think about the future. If you get caught up in the past, you're gonna fall even further behind.
Well, and that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. And I think like it's cool that you can understand where I'm coming from with this project, and you can even relate to the message, which I think is even better.
No, exactly, right? And that's why I've always fucked with your music. We come from like kind of the same background and like I mean, I lived in Hamilton for a bit, so like, I know how it is and yeah. good to see you growing and building a bigger brand and fan base for yourself. Like
Thank you, man.
you
I
started off with like, like 300 views on YouTube or whatever, and it's like now you're getting like thousands of streams. It's awesome.
So, and like the thing, thank you. I appreciate that. It's a slow and gradual build. Like, and that's why I always tell my friends, like, who are like, or people who ask me, other artists, that are like, what should I do? I'm like, dude, just focus on what you're doing and watch your path. Like watching what other people do doesn't help you get any better.
No, exactly.
You can work with people that are better than you. I love working with people that are better than me because they challenge me to be better, and that's
But make
great. But
you
you
got to make
also
sure
have
it
to.
relates to your brand though too.
That's right. And you also have to make sure that, you don't watch what they're doing. You can be with them and associate yourself with the crowd, and that's fine. But you've got to be in your own way and focused on your goals and stay in your own lane, because otherwise you're just going to be watching.
Yeah, exactly. So I know things are a little bit less restricted in Hamilton. I mean, you guys have had some shows during COVID. Do you have any upcoming performances or anything like that?
Unfortunately, no upcoming performances right now. I was hoping to do something for the album release in May, like this month, but like with the shutdown, there's a lot, like a
Yeah.
stay-at-home order right now until May 20th. So after that, I'm gonna look into it and see what happens. If at that point there is no longer a shutdown and I can have an event, then I 100% will be having a post release party for the album, similar to the Underground Vibe show last year.
Dope.
Kind of deal at Zen. I've already spoke with the owner of Zen, and like, he's cool. Him and I we work well together,
No,
and
and I
he's a
mean
great.
that was a really great setup last time too. Like you guys did a really good job of like keeping everyone distanced and setting up the stage and security and everything. It was really good.
Thank you. I really appreciate that, man, because like that was a big concern for me going in order to, like, be able to facilitate a show in that method and manner, because I am just an individual. It's not like I'm a company, like I'm the city or something. But I think I agree with you when you say that, and I appreciate that feedback, because that shows that in the future, people will want, and people will say that to each other. Yeah, it was a good show, but also they kept people safe. And that is a big thing
Yeah,
with people in
makes
COVID. They're worried. They're
yeah,
afraid that
makes
they're
them
going to
feel more
get.
comfortable coming again, because like even when
Exactly.
I came the first time, I was like, wonder how it's gonna be, because like that was the first like event I'd went to during COVID. So I was like,
Yeah.
was gonna I was like interested, and then when I got there, I was like, this is cool,
Yeah.
like
And that was the goal, to make it fun and make everybody have enjoyed time and leave everybody being safe. Because
no,
it's
exactly.
about business too. It's business, but it's also an event. And it's also an experience. You want people to enjoy and be part of the experience.
Yeah,
You don't want them
exactly.
to feel like they're limited and not able to be part of it, right? So we try to make it as inclusive as possible, and safe.
No, yeah, exactly. You got to take the right precautions, because I mean, at the end of the day, if anything happens, it falls back on you and the venue. So it's like,
Exactly. And that's what a lot of like artists and people don't really get, is that I'm the one taking responsibility for all that. It doesn't fall on them. So I
yeah,
have to be able to make certain decisions and certain calls. And sometimes that's the hard call. Sometimes I have to make the hard call, and I have to make the hard decision. But that's just how life is. And I have no problem doing that, because it's a business at the end of the day.
no, yeah, and you're the boss. You have to make the hard calls, or who will? It's like,
To be in a leadership position sometimes, man, is a struggle, because like I'm like even okay. So I did the show last year, and one of the gentlemen on the show was upset because his name wasn't on the flyer.
yeah,
And
I
I was like,
remember
listen,
that.
man, I'm not basing my show off of you being on the flyer. You're not my headlining act. You're an opening act. So
Yeah,
understand that if I put your name on the flyer, now the other guys that are opening are going to ask me to put their names on the flyer as well. And he's like, well, it looks big enough. But then I showed him with all this text on it. That's not what a flyer is about. A flyer is condensed information that gives you the gist of what it is, big, bold, and attention grasping. No one wants to sit there and have to pull their fucking reading glasses out to read all these names on a flyer. And that's that's the end of it. And it's not up for debate. And that was like kind of my point. And he really didn't understand. He got upset. And I was like, well, man, like I don't really like this. It's not. This isn't a conversation. This isn't
yeah,
up for debate. If you don't like it, then that's your fault. Like I'm not changing my flyer because you have an ego problem.
yeah, because you gotta understand it from like a graphic and like advertising standpoint. You
That's
can't.
right. Because I'm not just the host. I'm the host. I'm presenting it with my business, with freedom of speech. I have to consider all the angles to market, to produce, to record, et cetera, et cetera. I had, because Sign Matters, record the entire show. There's an entire recap video coming out.
Yeah, because I mean, you want to have a successful event. You want people to come back. Like if no one shows up, or they just didn't feel like taking the time to read about the event because there was too much info, they're just gonna
And here's the thing, we sold out. I sold out a show during COVID, and I'll tell you this, um, like in reality, those tickets were all sold majority by myself, but there were a few of the acts that sold tickets, but it was difficult because of COVID. And
yeah.
I'm just saying that like that's the ability I have to. It shows my representation in the city and what I'm building, because I can use these names and create a show and sell tickets on my own. I don't need you to sell tickets for me. And
No,
that's kind of my
exactly.
point that I was making to the gentleman that was asking for his name on the flyer. I'm like, dude, unless you're drawing out people for me, that's not. I have no need for your name to be on the flyer.
No, yeah, and I mean, like, you did a good job, and like you said,
And
like,
it like that's just the business works.
yeah, and like I was the first person to
And
buy
that's
a
the business.
ticket for the last show. Let me know if there's another
Yes,
show.
you were. Yes, you were. I
I'll be
remember
the
there's
first
actually
person to buy again. Fucking,
a clip of me saying that too.
that's awesome. That's awesome. If you could open for any artist, famous or local, who would it be?
Oh man, that is a hard question because I would love to open for Eminem. Eminem's like one of my favorite
That
artists
would
of
be
all time.
sick.
For famous, him, but or honestly Drizzy, because like I'm a big Drake fan, but mainly I
Yeah,
just like his music. So, like I would just like to be there to listen to him, but I could also open for him. You know what I mean? To be like
yeah. I mean, he's the
double
goat.
whammy. I get you know, he's definitely one of my favorite rappers or artists. Not even rapper. He's more of like an R&B artist, but he does make like rap type music. I respect Drake and the music he makes, and I'm also a fan. Like that's why I did the What's Next remix,
Yeah,
as a way to pay homage to my respect for Drake. Because I always make like old school type music, but like a lot of people wouldn't know how big of a Drake fan I am because it's not like I say it, but
no,
like,
for
I am.
sure.
And then
I never would have guessed unless you said something.
and that's right. I listen to a lot of his music. I have like basically every album on my phone. And like a lot of my new music that's coming out is reminiscent of some of that stuff that he makes because
Okay.
that's the kind of music that I listen to. So I started going like, you know what? I like so much of this Drake music. I'm gonna make something like that.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't want to be like him at all. And that's not my goal. But I like that late night drive type music, and I listen to it on my own because it's vibes. And I
Yeah,
feel
that's
like
like the chill shit.
my lyrics really stand out in those kind of songs more than others because people will pay more attention to the lyrics because the beat is less like heavy. So I'm excited to see what people think of these newer songs. Like on the album, there's a song with FLC and the artist. It's called Enterprise, and
Okay.
that's one of those type of songs. Or Jade's Freestyle is the outro to my album, and it's more melodic, you know, um, R&B type hip hop.
Yeah, yeah. Almost like what was the one he did? Something's flowers. Uh,
Damn. Oh, I can't remember.
that's
Now
one of
that's
my
gonna.
favorites off that album. That was a good one.
Yeah. I like one of my favorites is Sandra's Rose off of.
Oh yeah, that's what it is. Sanders
Oh,
Rose.
Sandra's Rose. Yeah, that's a great song. That's an awesome song, man. Or like, Girls Love Beyonce is probably
Yeah,
my favorite Drake song because girls love Beyonce and Drake wanted girls to love him.
yeah,
So girls love Beyonce. Like that's
yeah.
really
He's
clever and
smart
that's
like
good
that.
marketing. In my opinion, he's a really smart businessman and how he markets himself and what he does. But again, in terms of all time, like I would love to open for Eminem. Eminem would be the greatest to open for. Or I want to open for a local guy. He's from Toronto. His name is Young Stitch. I would love to open for Young Stitch.
Okay,
So like
yeah, I've heard of Young Stitch. She's
he's
cool.
dope. He's mad dope, and he has like crazy lyrics. I'm a big fan of Young Stitch. I've followed his career like at the beginning. I just like his music, and I would like to open for him one day, and hopefully I'm going to because I've spoken to him on a number of occasions.
No, no, and
And I
I'm
was
pretty sure he follows the gutter, so who knows? Maybe he'll see this and he'll be like,
Yeah, oh, definitely. I hope he does because, like I said, I was talking to him about even making a guest appearance at the show last year, but like we just weren't able to work it out. But definitely that's just to give you an example, all time, then famous and just a local guy that I'd like to open for because like
"Sick."
he's not super big time, but I do like his music and I respect the craft and I respect
Yeah,
anybody who's out there hustling to make it in this industry.
no, for sure, because it's not easy, and that kind of goes into my next question. Like, what have been some of the biggest challenges you faced, like trying to promote and grow your fan base over the years?
Honestly, that's an amazing question to ask because, like, for me, the biggest challenge was reaching the people who like my music, the people who like the old school vibes. Because, like, when I first got on Instagram, I don't know the algorithms, I don't know the social like
Yeah,
networking ideas, and I wasn't reaching the right platforms. I'm trying to reach people that like trap music, people that don't like my music. You know, that's like, not that my music isn't good, but it's just I
It's
cater
just not for
to a
them.
certain, yeah, I cater to a certain crowd, people who like the lyrics, people who like the bars, people who like the metaphors and the storytelling. And that's great. There are those people. So I cater my music. Like the majority of my listeners are above the age of 27, 24 and up. I don't have
Yeah,
as many
for
listeners
sure.
under the age of 19 and 20 because a lot of these kids don't like that lyrical style. It's just not their thing. The bars are, but a lot of older people like my music. So I noticed that's why I started tailoring it to, and with my branding and like what I do, I try to make it very personable, make it a very experienced thing. So it feels like you're part of the story. And
No, for
that was
sure.
my hardest thing to learn how to do, first off. And secondly, was how to create a sound that suits me, how to create and like, find the right type of beats that suit me and my sound. That was the next big challenge for me. And I've been working on that. That's what this big project is a part of. That's
Yeah,
to show, this project is going to show people what my sound really is. And it will help me create a definitive picture on this is Ktriggs. You're going to hear it immediately and go, that's Ktriggs.
yeah,
You know,
just
and
like a
that's what I
really,
want.
really cohesive album, like you said before.
That's right. And that those are some of my biggest challenges that I faced coming forward and creating music, and learning how to get in the studio and engineer and record and mix my own music. Like watching the engineers at work, at first I had no clue what they were doing. So one of my biggest
Yeah,
challenges I had to face was to go in the studio with them, watch and learn. Go on YouTube, watch and learn.
no,
Just
exactly.
keep putting in time. I'm not an engineer by any means, but I have the basic knowledge to speak the language of an engineer when I want them to do something I'm asking. I'm not
No,
sitting there going, oh, well, it sounds like this. Well, yeah, but what do you need me to do? An engineer is a professional. You have to bring them into the studio and you tell them what they're doing for you. They don't tell you what they're doing for you.
yeah,
That's
it's
not
like you
how it
can't
works.
just be like, oh, I want it to be like, woo, and then they're just
Yeah,
gonna
well,
like know what to do. You gotta,
you can't
you
just
gotta know the
expect
jargon.
someone to know what to do. You have to give them instructions and tell them this is what I want to sound like.
Yeah, it's like maybe try throwing a little reverb on there, or maybe
Yeah,
throw,
or
a high pass or something or whatever,
you know, like this guy did a feature. I did a feature track with this guy from Moncton the other day, and like one of the things that I mentioned on his track, I was like, "Oh, did you apply an EQ to the master track?" And he was like, "Yes, I did." And I was like, "Well, you should try it with the EQ off the master track because based on the type of mix you're doing, that will like affect your overall quality, And that was like just a note I gave him on the track. But those are like that's what I'm saying is those are aspects of engineering that I understand. I'm not an audio
No,
engineer
for
by any
sure.
means, but I know how to speak the language so that I can get the right results from my engineer. And then that engineer will see what I'm asking for and go, oh, okay, well, maybe I can add this and that'll make it sound a little bit, or maybe I can add this, because they're engineers. They
Yeah.
know how to make shit sound good, but they don't know how you want it to sound until you tell them.
No, exactly. And that's a big thing too, like about going like just taking these entertainment business classes. It's gonna put you at a much bigger advantage because you're gonna have the knowledge of like how to navigate the industry and how to talk to people, and that they'll they'll see that, and that'll it'll open a lot more doors and relieve a lot more like I want to say stress, just like hardship, like struggle
Well,
trying to get to where you want to go.
I think that's a good point too. And I also think it will just help me with the knowledge. And that's the big thing too, is just having the knowledge and possessing it, because that'll help me think about where I want to be and help me know how I'm gonna get there.
No, exactly, because you need a game plan. You gotta have a step by step thing so
Exactly.
you can make moves. Because if you're just like,
And
oh, this is where I want to be, it's like, how are you gonna get there?
that's what I've been doing. I have a game plan set out for the rest of the year. After this album drops, I have singles for the rest of the year for every month.
Yeah, because like if you let's say like you were like, oh, I want to go to LA, and you just start driving, but you don't like enter into the GPS or get a map out, you're gonna get lost. You're not gonna end up where
Eventually,
you
yeah.
wanted to go. So
And the,
you gotta have a plan.
and that's the most important thing, I think, and that's what I've been doing this last year or two, is just planning and creating content. And like I have so much content that's coming for people, you know what I mean? There's the recap for the show, there's the short film, there's the album, and then there's a whole bunch of sub content coming afterwards, singles, features. I've done 3 features on artist songs this year, and I have 3 features coming out of my own that I've brought other artists in on. I brought Buddha Abuse in on a feature. I
That's
brought
dope.
Gloomy in on a feature. And I'm bringing some other artists in on features in the coming weeks. And I'm super excited for what's to come.
No, that's dope. So am I as well, I'm gonna actually start using you as an example because I always tell people, like there's a lot more content than you think you can release for just like a single project. And like you always have so much shit behind the scenes shit, little clips, little, you're always doing something. So like that, I feel like you're like the best example to use, in terms of like releasing content and branding and shit like that.
Yeah,
You
exactly. And I
really
appreciate
understand it.
that, man. I really do appreciate that. Thank you so much for taking the time to, have me here and, have me on. And, I just really appreciate what you're doing. And I think it's awesome. And, I can't wait till, I can see you guys again and we can hang out and, have you at a show. That'll be
No, for
awesome.
sure. Yeah, it's been a while, COVID's really thrown a wrench in things.
And that's a big thing about it. It's hard with COVID, to get where we all want to get, but, it's a slow process and we're all going to get there.
No, for
You know
sure,
what
for
I
sure.
mean?
Got to keep moving forward, like you said before.
Yeah, exactly,
Um,
man. And I wanted to say, like I do hope that in the future we'll be able to do some music together, and I'll catch you around. Just let me know.
yeah,
Send me some stuff, and we'll work on stuff. I know the last time we spoke, we were talking about that, but we didn't really get past that because I know we were both busy and caught up with what we've been doing, and you've been focused on your show. But definitely, hit me up, send me some stuff. We'll talk, and
of
we'll get some
course, for
music too,
sure.
man. Awesome. Any other
So
questions you got for me?
yes, we have a few more. So, what has been your most successful release so far, and what has been your favorite release so far?
Actually, it's interesting because Priorities featuring LT the Monk actually just reached 463 streams the other day, which is the
Okay.
most streams I have on any song. The next song behind it is One Voice, which I released 3 years ago in 2018. So that goes to show the improvement and the quality of the song. That
Yeah.
I put that song out in November, and it's already got the same amount of views as my streams as my highest streamed song ever.
No,
Um,
exactly. You're
so
like
that's my
you're building speed.
Yeah, and that's, I think, is a great show of growth and dedication to the craft. But here's the thing: is like, yeah, that's a great song, but it's not my favorite. I would say my favorite song ever was the one I released this month called Avery's in April, called Avery's Interlude,
Yeah, I
because my
really like
niece
that one.
Avery, thank you, my niece Avery, she actually does the tagline for the beat, the "No My Blast Off." That's my young niece,
That's
and
sick.
you can hear her in the background in the studio because she loves being a part of the studio time, and she loves coming in the studio with me. She likes to sing. So that's something that I take a lot of pride in, and that she wants to be a part of it, and I
Yeah.
want her to feel welcome. So I included her on the song, and I named the song after her. So that for me, that's a really important thing, and it means a lot to me to be able to do that, and it meant a lot to me for her to be part of it. So that's my favorite song for sure.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, I was actually just listening to that one like before we started up the call. Um Another thing too, like I learned when I was in my entertainment business class is like, when it comes in terms of copywriting, like the songwriters, like you can sample a song after all the songwriters have been dead for 50 years, but a way you can extend that is by like making your siblings or nieces or even your kids as co-songwriters on the song. Jay-Z does that a lot with Blue Ivy. So like she's a songwriter on a lot of his songs. So like even when he dies, if she, let's say she's like 40 and she makes it to 90, like they still got to wait another 50 years till they can use it. So he just got like an extra like 100 years on his copyright, which is crazy.
That's no, but it's smart. It's actually a smart way to do it because you think about it, he's keeping it in the family at the end of the day.
No,
He's not giving
exactly.
up. It's not like a major record label's taking his earnings, and that's what the shitty thing that happens to a lot of artists. At the end of their lives, sometimes their family doesn't get the earnings because of the kind of deal that they had. Like,
Right.
my one day goal is to work towards a 360 deal or an 80/20 deal. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I want a 360 deal because that's the smartest way to go if you're going to sign with a major label.
Yeah. You get the
They do
all around package.
Well, a 360 deal basically means that the label that you sign with, they own a percentage of everything. So all revenue,
Yeah.
merchandise, touring, albums, doesn't matter, but they get a percentage. So that doesn't mean they get everything. You get the majority. It's your ownership, but they get a percentage in order to use their platform and use their A&R, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
But I
Exactly.
think that's the best way to go. You don't want to be signed to a label because then they're just going to be like, okay, well, we'll give you this for this, and that's it. You don't want them to just give you some kind of deal, regular deal. You want the best kind of deal you can get as an artist where you don't get fucked, because other the majority of deals you're getting fucked.
Yeah, you
and they
always want to
own you.
keep your publishing and like the majority of your royalties, you know?
Yeah, you want to keep your rights. That's the big thing. If you want to sell your rights, you sell them, like, you have to sell them conditionally to some, like, you can sell them obviously, but there's conditions behind that. Canadian copyright law is the whole thing.
Yeah, leasing and all that. And
That's actually something I'm covering in my next class, in like at 5 o'clock today, is I have a class on Canadian copyright.
it's dope. You're gonna love it. That was one of my like I liked the copywriting courses and like basically anything that had to do with like royalty collection and just like how people get paid and like where everything's going, you know?
Yeah, I really like the marketing aspect of things too. And the audio engineering. I have an audio engineering class as well, and that's something I'm super excited about because I don't know a lot about that aspect. So I want
Yeah.
to learn more about the audio engineering aspect of things. That's a big thing for me.
Yeah, and like I said, that was initially why I went to do my course, and then I was like, oh, the business is actually pretty dope. And then I was like, man, if I knew all this stuff before, like, I could have been way further. So,
Well, but that's okay, man. Everyone goes at their
no,
speed, and
yeah,
you took the time
exactly.
to learn, and now you're gonna progress more. Look what you're doing now. Like, it's super awesome, and you should be very proud.
No, thank you. I am. Thank you. That means a lot, bro. Um,
Of course, man.
so we got a few more questions. Let's see. What advice would you give to your younger self?
Um, damn, it's a good question. Like, cause like I made a lot of choices maybe like that weren't the best in the moment. If I was to give any advice to my younger self, I just tell them to slow
Yeah,
down,
yeah,
take
just
a
take your
minute,
time.
take your time. Don't make so many decisions irrationally in the moment of heat and emotion. Just slow down, think for a second. That's really the only advice I give myself because, like, again, I did the things I did, and I am the person I am because of those choices. So I'm not too regretful about those choices. I did make mistakes, but I've learned to get through that, past those things, and I'm trying to, forgive myself and work towards that. And um, but again, I would not tell myself to not make those choices. I would just tell myself to slow down so that maybe I would make other choices as well that would prevent me from making the same mistakes. Because there are times when I have made the same mistakes more than once. And that's why this album is such an important thing, because that's part of the learning process to not make those mistakes again.
No, for sure. And it's like like when we were kids, they always tell us about the turtle and the hare, and slow and steady wins the race because the rabbit's rushing and rushing and rushing. And he's like, oh, I got time to take a
In
nap.
my song,
And
in
then
my
the
song
turtle
Born
beats
to
him.
Be, I have a song called Born to Be. And in that song I say life is a marathon, go at your speed. And that's one of my
Yeah,
favorite lines I've ever written, because that is such a pinnacle of what I'm all about. And what people need to understand about it is life is a marathon. It's not a sprint. You're not going to get to the finish line by running as fast as you can. You're only going to get there by running your race.
right. And no, when you dropped that one too, like that was the first one I had heard in a bit. So I was like, oh shit, he really upped his game. Fucking, and like I've just seen nothing but growth since. So it's good. It's good. That's what I love to see, bro.
Thank you. And I think that was the start of me really creating with the festival and with Born to Be, me really creating my own little niche for like community type hip hop here in Hamilton. And it's slowly growing more and more. And that's what I like to see. Like, I don't need, 10,000 followers or 3 million. Like, I don't need all that. I
Yeah.
want it, but I don't need it right now. It's just about getting the real people like you who listen and respect the music and actually want to hear it.
Yeah,
And
exactly. The
I
dedicated fans.
appreciate all the support that I get. I'm so grateful to all the people in Hamilton, that show me love on my music and spread my sound around, because I haven't been doing this as long as a lot of rappers. There's a lot of rappers in the city who been doing this for like 5, 6, 7+ years. I've only been doing this for 3 years. So, like,
Yeah.
I would say for someone who's been doing it for not very long, as most people, I've come a long way.
No, for sure, for sure. Like, and anyone who's been following you can see that. It's
Yeah, and that's
like I
why I
said,
appreciate it, because everybody who and that's why I was saying I'm so grateful, because like there are people that hate on me and people that don't like my music, but I don't care. And that's like I always tell my friends that too. I'm like when they complain about hate, dude, you're living in their head right now because they're just mad. And if they don't like your music, that's fine. Not everybody's gonna like it. Not everybody's gonna fuck with it. And that's totally cool. There are
yeah,
people that mess with it. I remember performing in front of 80 people, but I also remember performing in front of nobody.
yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? And that's just part of it. There's people that aren't, and that's it. That's all I appreciate. I care about that. People that fuck with my music, people that support me, and that's all that matters in my opinion, because those are the real ones.
No, for
Everybody
sure.
else, whatever.
Yeah, and like, you keep hustling like that and just like everyone's gonna see that, and you'll slowly get more dedicated fans, and just you'll build that fan base, you know,
I'm trying to build a movement, freedom of speech, baby.
for real. Where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years?
5 to 10 years. All right. So I don't have like a firm plan in place or anything, but my goal in 5 to 10 years is to have freedom of speech, as a main production distribution label for all things Ktriggs. At this time, it is the production label for Ktriggs. But I want to distribute music under freedom of speech. Have other artists working
That's
with
sick.
me, and build a studio here in Hamilton that's dedicated towards that. So
That's
that's my
awesome.
goal in 10 years, to have a studio here in Hamilton that like you come to, hit me up, like, yo, Kevin, I need to record. I'll be like, okay, what do you need? I got engineers, I got producers, I got, this and that. What do you need? Who do you need in the studio? This is how much, that's my goal, is to be able to get to that point where you can call me up and be like, yo, Kevin, I got a guy who wants to rap with me. We both need a studio. We need an engineer. We need a producer. Da 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 da. And I can say, okay, this guy, this guy, this guy. This is how much it costs. Here's a layout for you. This is what I need to start you up. And I can still be flexible and not just about making money off people, because it's about trust,
No,
right? Like
facts.
if someone comes to me and says, yo, I need a studio recorded, a beat made, and I need it engineered, mixed, and mastered. Well, that's
Yeah,
not free. That's going to be like maybe $300-400 total, because you got to have the studio time, maybe an hour, $50, 25, $50, depending on the studio. You got the engineer in there, maybe give him $20 an hour at least. You got the beat maker in there, maybe they get $100 for the beat. You know what I mean? So in that eyes, I'd be like, yo, okay, so you want to make a song, give me $100 as a deposit, so I can pay the engineer to be in here and pay for your studio time, and then give me the rest once we do something. Because as an engineer, as a label, and as someone who's managing you, I would be in a position where I haven't done anything yet. You know what
yeah,
I mean? I haven't done anything for you. I'm just sitting here being like, this is what I offer for you. And you're like, well, fuck, okay, I don't have $400 to give you right here in this second, but I got 100, At least that gets me, pays for your studio time. So I get you in there, you record your track. My engineer has it, mixes and masters it, gets your beat made, and then you go, okay, well, now that I've seen that I've got to record my vocals, my beats made, here's the other $300. And now
yeah.
your song's done, mixed, mastered, and then you can come and go, oh, well, I don't have the marketing abilities, and then I go, oh, well, you want me to like post it, this and that. And then there's other options, promotional options. Oh, I have radio play here, here, and here. You know what I mean? And
No, exactly.
that's what I want to work toward. So that's what I want to be one day for Hamilton. That guy who people go to, you know what I mean?
No, and that's what Hamilton needs. So, I love to see it. Keep hustling, keep working towards the dream and the vision, and it'll work out. I can see it. Like, mm, you know,
We
before
manifest out here, bro.
like 3 years ago, like I there was like no music culture in Hamilton really. Like you kind of built it up, you know?
Slowly but surely, we're doing something, man. And that's what I
Yeah,
mean, dude. We're gonna like everybody. When I say community over competition, it's not because there's no competition. At the end of the day, this is an opinionated sport, and it's about what, like Drake said, that it's an opinionated sport. He said that in his Rap Radar interview. I think it makes so much sense, because it's not about how good you are. It's about who likes your shit. That's all it is.
exactly.
And and that's why I say it's community over competition, because we can all win in our own way.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. There's enough money out here for everyone to eat,
Literally, there is though. They print it every fucking day, man.
Fact. Fact. All right, man. Well, it's been good having you on. It's been good talking to you again. We'll have to like you said, we'll link up. We'll work on some music and shit. Hopefully, COVID is ending soon and we can physically link up and hang out again or
Definitely, man. The last
have a
time we
show or
spoke was
something.
awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, let's do that again. We'll stay in touch and yeah, stay safe, man.
Yeah, man, you as well. Thank you so much for having me on. Anybody who doesn't know who I am, one more time, it's Ktriggs 905 on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or ktriggs.ca. Remember, Mistakes, my new album is coming out on May 20th. You can pre-save it right now at the link in my bio. Shout out Gutter. Shout out everybody who fucks with Ktriggs, and freedom of speech, baby.
Facts.
Take it
All
easy,
right,
bro.
man. Have a good day.
Yeah, stay safe. You too, man.
Peace.
Peace.